Hi Texans, I have some really exciting news. Next Friday, February 1st, is World Read Aloud Day. On this day, you guys are going to have a special visit from a local author named Pat Miller. Now, you may recognize Pat Miller because she is in and out of the library some, but she has multiple published books that are available in our library and even some that we don't have available that are incredible reads. So today I'm going to share with you one of her books and also show you the covers of a few of her other books in preparation for our meeting with her next Friday, February 1st. Now, she's going to read a book aloud to us next Friday and talk with us a bit about writing because she knows that you guys are preparing for the STAR test for writing that's coming up. But her main goal is to come and just share one of her books and have a great time with us next Friday. So this is a little bit of prep to get you ready for her visit. See you soon. Here's a picture of Pat Miller, the author that we'll be meeting on Friday, February 1st. These are two of her early readers that we have available in the library about step-parents and moving. We're Going on a Book Hunt is similar in format to We're Going on a Bear Hunt, but shows how to get around the library. And Substitute Groundhog is the book that Pat Miller will be reading to us on Friday, February 1st. Have you ever wondered who decided to make the delicious breakfast treat of the donut? Today we're going to read a story by Pat Miller titled The Whole Story of the Donut. It's written by Pat Miller and illustrated by Vincent Kirsch, and this is a literary or narrative nonfiction story that is the biography of Hanson Gregory. So let's check out how he created the donut. Few remember the master mariner Hanson Crockett Gregory, though he was bold and brave and bright. But the pastry he invented more than 166 years ago is eaten daily by donut lovers everywhere. This is his story. In 1844, Hanson Gregory was just 13 when he went to sea. He left the family farm to become cabin boy on the schooner Isaac Acorn out of Rockport, Maine. Hanson quickly rose to cook's assistant, then was put to work high in the rigging. He ran up the ratlines barefoot as high as 8 stories to furl or release the sails. He could steer a ship over trackless waves by sun and stars. By 19, Hanson was captain of the cargo schooner Hardscrabble, tall with canvas stretched to the wind. In a few more years, Captain Gregory raced his cargo from Maine to California as commander of a clipper, the fastest ship on any ocean. On one voyage, he risked ship and cargo to rescue 7 Spanish sailors from certain death in a frigid sea. When the news reached Spain, Queen Isabella II awarded Captain Gregory a medal for heroism. But what about the pastry? For that, we have to go back to June 22nd, 1847. The crew of the Ivanhoe had worked up mighty appetites through the night. The sun was barely up as 16-year-old Hanson and the cook prepared breakfast. It would be the same coffee and fried cakes they served most mornings on the Ivanhoe. The cook tossed wood into the belly of the cast iron stove, heating the cauldron of lard. Hanson formed balls of sweetened dough. Both men stood on spread legs as the cramped galley lurched with the ship. Pans clanged overhead. The aroma of browning sugar rose as the cook dropped in the first blobs of dough. The iron railing on the stovetop kept the pot in place as the Ivanhoe bucked and plunged. When the cakes were fried, Hanson dumped them out on the dining table. They were sweet and crisp, at least around the edges. Their raw centers, heavy with grease, made them drop like cannonballs in the stomach. Sailors called them sinkers. As Hansen shaped another batch, he was struck by an idea. He took the round lid of a pepper can and cut perfect holes in the center of each sinker. Then he tossed the rings into the bubbling lard. The cook had never seen such a downright fool thing. Neither had the sailors who showed up for breakfast, but that didn't keep them from taking a bite. The cakes were brown and sweet and fully cooked. Sighs of delight rose above the noisy sea. A new breakfast tradition was born. The teenage Hansen shared his invention with his mother. She cooked up large batches to sell in a friend's store and on the docks to hungry sailors. Ship's cooks now served holy cakes. That's how Hansen's invention spread around the world and down the years and right into your stomach. But sailors like their stories bold. Not satisfied with the pastry's humble origin, they spun legends worthy of such a delicious treat. One told how Captain Gregory wrestled the wheel as the sea became a monster. The first mate brought sinkers to keep up the captain's strength. Just as the captain grabbed one, the waves crashed over his head. Captain Gregory speared that sinker on the wheel's spoke. He invented the donut while he saved the ship. Another legend tells how wild waves grabbed 5 sailors and pulled them overboard right after breakfast. With bellies full of oily pastries, they sank like stones. Captain Gregory shouted, "Never again!" He used a wooden belaying pin to punch holes in every cake so they resembled the ship's life's rings. No sailor has since been drowned by his breakfast. Interviewed in 1916 for the Patriot Ledger, Captain Gregory seemed amused at all the fuss over his invention 69 years before. He laughed as he teased the reporter that he had invented the first hole ever seen by mortal eyes. When the reporter asked if he was pleased with his invention, Captain Gregory replied, "Well, sir, those donuts were the finest I ever tasted. No more indigestion, no more sinkers, just well done, fried through donuts." At 89, Captain Gregory died at the Sailors' Snug Harbor, a home for sailors near Quincy, Massachusetts. He was buried overlooking the sea, where stormy weather can be spotted as readily as it once was from the quarterdeck of the Hardscrabble. Whether you prefer chocolate or sprinkled, glazed or filled, raise your next tasty donut to the Master Mariner from Maine. The end. Now, after the end of the story, the author put in an author's note giving extra details about Captain Gregory. This often happens in literary or narrative nonfiction format. The story ends and then the author's note has extra facts. It's a little more dense. So one of the facts that was included is Hansen Crockett Gregory was honored in 1948 by the American Bakers Association as the inventor of the hole in the donut. Now, this wasn't in the story, but she included it in the author's note because it was an extra fact that she learned during her research. On the final 2-page spread of the book, there's a timeline on the left. It begins at 1831 when Hansen Crockett Gregory is born, and it ends on 1982 when there was a ceremony on June 11th where the children at a local school held the ceremony to mark Gregory's gravesite, and Dunkin' Donuts provided a prominent headstone. So it gave you all of the important events, or what the author deemed important, and was relevant to his donut story in the life of Hansen Crockett Gregory. So you can read through the timeline to see different things, like where he invented the donut hole, where he went to a retirement home, so it gives a little bit of extra information about his life, when he completed the Patriot Ledger interview, and so on. On the right page of the spread, there's acknowledgments and then a selected bibliography. The selected bibliography is where the author put down where she got her sources from. When she did research for Hanson Crockett Gregory, she wrote down all of the articles that she read or the books that she read or the websites that she visited and included them in the selected biography because these are the ones that she used to influence her book called The Whole Story of the Donut. All right, guys, so I have a couple questions about this book that we just finished called The Whole Story of the Donut. My first question is, Hanson, in the story, he formed sweetened balls of dough and then he fried the cakes. But this was before he put the hole in the center. It says they were sweet and crisp, at least around the edges. Their raw centers, heavy with grease, made them drop like cannonballs in the stomach. Sailors called them sinkers. Now, what's a sinker? Why did they call them sinkers? Talk with your group. My next question is, in the story, The Whole Story of the Donut, there were several pages where they talked about the different legends. So they had a legend about the donut saving the ship. He invented the donut while saving the ship. And then another one that people were drowned by the sinkers. And he said never again, and he punched holes in every cake so that they would resemble the ship's life rings. Now, why do you think that the mariners, the folks on the ships, the sailors, why did they create legends about the donut? Why wasn't the original story enough? Why did they create legends? Talk with your group about that. Now, last but not least, this story is considered literary or narrative nonfiction. It looks like a story. It has the story elements. It goes through the story arc. But here at the end, she has included an author's note. And then on the next page, she included a timeline and the acknowledgments and selected biography. Why is it important at the end of when an author writes literary or narrative nonfiction? Why do they usually include an author's note and a timeline? What do you think that information is included for? What's their reasoning? Talk with your group. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed The Whole Story of the Donut by Pat Miller. And the reason that I brought this video to you today is because we're meeting Pat Miller next Friday, February 1st. So I wanted to give you some information. I wanted to go through her story, The Whole Story of the Donut, and I wanted to let you know she's going to be meeting with us next Friday, February 21st, and she'll be reading her story, The Substitute Groundhog. Now, what's coincidental is that the day after we meet her, it'll be Groundhog Day. So think of what you know. What kind of schema do you have about Groundhog Day? And we will see her on Friday, February 1st. Y'all have a great day.